My boyfriend went ice cold over a simple ring question, accused me of violating his boundaries, fought me and told me he felt nothing for me, and now I'm realizing I might be sleeping next to a stranger who's been emotionally manipulating me for years. I, 30, have been with my boyfriend, 33, for almost 4 years now, and in that time we've built what I thought was a stable, committed life together. We share 2 dogs, we live together, and we've faced a ridiculous number of challenges that most couples only experience over entire decades. Sometimes I look back and wonder how we managed to stay afloat with everything that kept getting thrown at us. My chronic illness has been the biggest curveball. Over the last few years, it's gotten much worse. So much so that I had to walk away from my 9-to-5 job. That was devastating for me because I've always been extremely independent, always paid my own way, and never wanted to rely on anyone financially. He was the one who suggested I build my own business, something that could adapt to my health instead of breaking me down further. I honestly don't know if I would have made it without that suggestion, or without him supporting me financially while I figured it out. I've spent the last year teaching myself crochet, and eventually fell into making amigurumi plushies. I've sold a few already, and my craft market table just arrived, so now I'm working nonstop to build stock for weekly Sunday markets. I'm also planning on hosting crochet workshops early next year. On top of that, I'm a landlord, and the rental income has always covered my personal bills, insurance, medical aid, phone. So he took over rent, groceries, and all the household expenses. He basically became the provider. His salary was high enough to support both of us, and I've been genuinely grateful. His car broke down at one point, and instead of repairing it, I told him to use mine. So he's been driving my car for a few years now. When we moved into this apartment for our dogs to have a proper garden, he put down his savings for the deposit, which wiped out our emergency fund. And during that time, my health kept getting worse, and healthcare is unbelievably expensive in my country. Nobody recognizes or supports invisible disabilities, so everything comes out of pocket. We've been through so much. His retrenchments, twice my retrenchment, unemployment, a miscarriage, new jobs, the stress of financial instability, his hernia causing painful long sex sessions while my chronic pain flared, a weird medical situation where his doctor insisted I gave him an STD I didn't, and I still helped clean and care for him until he healed. Then his tonsil issues made sleeping in the same room impossible. I slept on the couch for months until he suggested switching, so now we alternate. We haven't actually shared a bed in almost a year. To make things worse, our bedroom has mold spores, which triggers my illness even more. So now I mostly sleep on the couch and wake up in pain. If I don't clean, things pile up fast, moldy dishes, mess everywhere. Even on days I'm flaring, I push myself to clean because I can't stand living like that. But pushing myself means I lose energy for crocheting, which delays my business progress and keeps me stuck. Whenever I go stay with my parents for a few days, my symptoms improve. I get clarity, motivation, and some hope again. But the moment I come back here, my health tanks. We haven't been able to buy an air purifier because he can't find his card, and it's been missing for a week now. Since losing my job, I've picked up most of the household responsibilities, cleaning, cooking, laundry. He barely helps because he has no work-life balance. I've encouraged him to set boundaries at work, but he struggles to follow through, just like with therapy. He keeps saying he wants to go, but doesn't act on it. He's on chronic anxiety meds and spirals emotionally when he forgets to take them. He info dumps on me constantly, after meetings, after stressful moments, after anything that excites him. He says it makes him feel connected. But when I talk about my own struggles, he seems to shut down. He'll stare at his computer, click through apps, avoid eye contact, or drift off emotionally. It feels dismissive, even avoidant. If I'm having a bad pain day and don't check in on him emotionally as much, he becomes distant or sad by evening. If I'm smiling, he immediately comments on how much he loves when I'm happy, as if my emotional state is the barometer for his. With 2 chronic illnesses, my emotions and physical appearance change day to day. Sometimes my face swells, sometimes I can barely move. It's unpredictable. A few months ago, he got retrenched again, the second year in a row. It happened right before Christmas. It felt like some cruel joke from the universe, because the timing was identical to last year. But this time, the company knew they screwed him over, so they gave out extra severance. It was enough for us to finally get ahead, fix up and sell his car, which I'd been begging him to do because it's been dead for over 2 years and still costing us insurance, pay off our credit card debt, service my car, visit my parents, and this is where everything started to unravel. He suggested we could finally buy an engagement ring. I had no idea that this moment, something that should have been beautiful and steadying, would be the turning point. While I was packing to visit my parents, we talked about the ring. I mentioned we should wait until the week of Black Friday because I knew the discount would help us financially. He agreed and said it sounded perfect. When the sale went live while I was away, he called and said we should go for it. I told him I forgot the ring size tool at home, so I'd measure properly when I returned. We video called every night for over an hour, and one night he brought up the engagement again. I said gently that we didn't have to do it now if money was tight, thinking I was being reasonable. But he immediately shut that down hard. He told me there was no point in waiting, that finances were the only thing holding us back, and now that problem was solved. So why wait? And, of course, that made me excited.
I'm a hopeless romantic.
I always have been. These moments matter to me. Hitting our 4th year and finally talking seriously about engagement made everything feel real, grounded, and worth all the struggles we'd pushed through. The second day at my parents' house, my face swelling from my chronic illness finally went down. My mom put her air purifier in my room, and I woke up the next day feeling lighter, breathing easier, my body calmer. By the time the week ended, I realized how much the mold in our apartment had been destroying my health. Our place hasn't been maintained at all. So much moisture, leaks in the building, mold between apartments. When I told him, he immediately said that once I got back, we'd buy an air purifier, no questions asked. He told me it was urgent, important, and the payments were interest-free for 6 months, so it wouldn't drown us financially. Everything seemed like it was aligning. My health improving, our finances stabilized, the engagement conversation feeling solid. Then, right before I left for the airport, I bit into a piece of sourdough and my tooth split. Literally split in half. The pain was blinding. I excused myself, checked in the mirror, and saw the tooth was barely hanging on by the filling. Getting a dentist appointment on such short notice was a nightmare. The earliest was Monday, and this happened on a Friday, right before flying. I was terrified the pressure from the plane would make it worse. Thankfully, the flight was okay. But when I came home, I immediately felt off. Like something subtle had shifted. Maybe it was the fact that I walked all the way out of the airport by myself, looking for him while dragging my bag, only to find he hadn't been paying attention. He didn't even see me walk right past him. He was sitting inside, scrolling on his phone, even though I'd messaged him the moment I got my luggage, specifically so he'd be ready and looking for me. Or maybe it was that if I didn't say I love you, he wouldn't say it first. Silence unless prompted. Being gone a week meant he had to handle the dogs, the cleaning, the laundry, except the floor was filthy. Intensely dirty. I know he's overwhelmed with his new job, and his pattern is always the same. Work, 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 then straight into gaming, 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 then sleep, repeat.
But still, it was jarring.
That first evening back, I measured my ring size and told him I was ready. When did he want to order? Suddenly, he was distant. Said, not now. Then said, maybe Sunday. And because we've always talked about our future, our dreams, our businesses, our dogs, retirement, houses, I believe the engagement was something we were absolutely aligned on. This was supposed to be our next step. Saturday night, I decided to create a profile on the jewelry site so the order would be fast and easy the next day. I'm a planner. It's how I manage my health and my anxiety. While browsing, I noticed they offered an interest-free 3-month payment plan. Naturally, I messaged my best friend, we tell each other everything, and asked whether he thought doing a payment plan would make more sense than paying in full since it would help us financially. His entire demeanor changed instantly, like a switch had been flipped. One minute we were having a normal conversation about finances and the ring, and the next he was cold, angry, and completely unreachable. I had never seen him like that. His voice felt like it belonged to someone else.
Detached.
Controlled.
Icy.
He told me that I had crossed a line, broken a boundary, shattered his trust. I remember just standing there, completely stunned, because I genuinely had no idea what I had done wrong. I asked him for clarity, because how could suggesting a payment plan be a violation of trust? And instead of explaining, he ramped up. He started saying things like, nobody pushes me into a corner, nobody tells me what to do. You violated my trust, and now you have to earn it back. My heart dropped. I felt like I was suddenly living with a stranger. I started crying, genuinely sobbing, because I couldn't understand how a simple conversation turned into this. I asked him why he was being so cold, why he wouldn't even look at me. That's when he said something that shattered any remaining sense of safety I had. I feel nothing. Asked him, begged him to tell me he didn't mean that. But he doubled down. He said he felt nothing. He said he was disconnected. He said he had no empathy. I could barely breathe. I was terrified. When I told him I didn't understand what triggered such an extreme reaction, he started attacking me, verbally tearing into me about how I can't handle serious discussions. How that was extremely worrying. How it made him rethink everything. I was shaking, completely blindsided. I began listing serious topics we've navigated together: his retrenchments, my chronic illnesses turning our lives upside down, our miscarriage, his hernia affecting intimacy, us having essentially a sexless relationship, my mother's declining health, and he just broke down, crumbling into tears and slamming his fists into the counter. He looked unrecognizable, like someone I suddenly didn't know. And yes, it scared me. He's hit cupboards, the floor, even his own head before when overwhelmed, but this time, the rage felt directed at me. Then came the mean comments. The repeated line about how I pushed him into a corner. How I broke his trust. Over and over and over, like he was trying to brainwash me into believing I'd done something unforgivable. I was hysterical by then, overwhelmed to the point of shaking. And when I finally stopped sobbing, the first thing he said was, "I didn't hear you apologize once." That's when something in me broke. I grabbed my keys, got in my car, and drove to a parking lot just to breathe. I waited more than an hour for my mom to be free, and when she finally picked up, I didn't even get a full sentence out before I started crying again. She's logical, grounded, compassionate. She's always been my anchor and the voice of reason. When I told her what happened, she kept asking if maybe he thought I ordered the ring without him. But I hadn't. Not even close. I had only suggested a payment plan. That was it. A normal, adult financial conversation. And yet he treated me like I betrayed him. My mom reminded me gently that he has old wounds, his parents' divorce, his narcissistic father, the cutoff about a year ago. I know all of that shaped him. I also know that I've been healing. Therapy since I was 16, working through my trauma, growing in emotional intelligence, setting boundaries, learning self-worth, building my business, and a tiny voice in my chest kept whispering, "Run." After 2 hours, I drove home. When I walked through the door, he was vacuuming, dishes washed, laundry running. It was jarringly domestic after the emotional carnage from earlier. My mom told me it might be best to keep the peace until I figured things out. So I grabbed a Monster and a PS chocolate, and I went inside with the intention of diffusing things. I told him I thought we were both overwhelmed, that maybe we needed a few calm days. He agreed. He apologized for his reaction and said he'd work on what happens when someone pushes him into a corner. Except I never pushed him. Which brings me to last night. Everything exploded again. I told him he was being a bit rude because every time I spoke he was cold, cut off, answering in one word at a time. He then said things haven't been the same since that day. That I hadn't kissed him or said I love you. That I still hadn't apologized for pushing him into a corner. He kept repeating it like a script. I told him it wasn't fair. That he was twisting what happened. That I didn't force him, didn't pressure him, didn't manipulate him. He refused to hear it. And then he said the thing that cut the deepest. That because I've been in therapy, I should know better. As if the tools I've gained are weapons he can use against me. It felt like fighting with a wall. A cold, blank, unmovable wall. And for the first time I realized, this wasn't about a ring. This wasn't about money. This wasn't about a payment plan. This was the first crack revealing something inside him I never wanted to see. I cannot apologize for crossing a boundary I didn't know existed. According to him, the boundary I violated was asking about the ring on Saturday instead of Sunday. That was apparently enough for him to say I broke trust, pushed him into a corner, and crossed a line. He even compared it to no means no, which stunned me. It was such an extreme comparison that I felt disoriented hearing it from someone who's supposed to love me. He said it reminded him of his mom crossing his boundaries. Something in me cracked, and I told him maybe we weren't best friends anymore. Maybe that's why he was treating me so coldly. Instead of reassuring me, he agreed. Then he quickly apologized, saying he knew he was insensitive, but that I had pushed him. At that point, I just wanted the storm to settle because what I witnessed from him, the emotional detachment, the emptiness in his voice, terrified me. It wasn't anger, it was absence. He said so many mean things during those days, and they're still echoing in my head. He told me I ruined the last few days by not being affectionate enough, as if me needing space was a weapon. The last 2 days, I buried myself in reorganizing my office because I needed a place that felt safe. Every few hours he'd come in, sad and confused, saying I wasn't the same. I reminded him, again, that I asked for a few days to process. He said he knew, but he missed me. I didn't fold this time. I told him plainly he hurt me deeply and that the ground disappeared beneath me that day. Of course, things weren't normal. We did hug. He kept saying he loved me and wanted everything back to how it was. He said he wanted to share work things with me, and when I didn't respond earlier in the day, he built resentment. And then it hit me. We never talk about his feelings because he always claims I'll react defensively, even though therapy changed that part of me years ago. His version of me is outdated, but he clings to it. I told him his lack of communication is tearing us apart. If he keeps bottling things up, resentment will kill us. He started listing everything I did wrong that day, and I could feel it coming. If I didn't apologize, we would end up right back in that same loop. Me being accused of pushing him. Me being told I broke trust. Me being told I needed to earn it back. I could see the trap opening. So, I told him I didn't want to get engaged anymore. He got upset, confused, hurt. I softened it to not now, because I didn't want to cause unnecessary pain. But deep down, I honestly don't know if I'll ever want to. Maybe if he actually works on his emotional regulation. Maybe if he learns that accountability isn't shifting blame onto the nearest person. Maybe if he stops using invading my peace as a way to dodge responsibility. His reaction that day shook me to my core. It made me question everything. It made me wonder if the man I thought I knew is the same one standing in front of me now. Maybe stress truly broke him for a moment, but I can't ignore what my instincts are screaming. Something is off. Something fundamental cracked. And that's what confuses me so deeply. Outside of this, he's been an incredible partner. He supports me through my health issues, celebrates my wins, praises me, tells me I'm beautiful, listens to my rambling stories, holds me when I cry, and financially provides for us. He's been my safe place for years. He's been my person. So, why does something feel missing now? Why does something feel wrong? Why does my mom, who is rarely wrong about these things, feel uneasy too? Why has my stomach been in knots since that day?